I am Gabe Cymbalista, and this is Cymbalistic Cynicism, bringing on our guest, Marc Sheffler. Can you hear me, Marc?
Marc Sheffler, but
Marc
anyway,
Sheffler, sorry.
that's okay.
How's everything with you?
Fine, yourself?
Good, good. So I actually, on my first show, had a friend of yours on, an old co-star of yours, Jeremy Dreyfuss.
Oh yeah, I love Jeremy. We're all
Yeah.
Yes.
So at the beginning of our, and that's when when I first met Jeremy, I first met you.
Okay.
Actually, her and her son Harry treated me to a late birthday lunch, and then I went to her table, and you were there. The two of you were there.
It's funny. You do kind of look familiar.
Yeah. So we met originally. It was 3 years ago this past May. In Texas, in Dallas. Yeah.
Texas Frightmare. That's a great show. Texas Frightmare.
Yeah. And I love it. It happens once a year on my birthday weekend every single year. So it's perfect. Or bashert, as we say in Hebrew. And you and Jeremy were in Last House on the Left together. She had some interesting stories about that one, but I'm sure they vary from yours. She told us how a lot of she had a lot of interesting different positive and sort of unique attitude from certain fans, like because they were so intimidated by her character.
They were. Jeremy was a badass. You know, she's kind of like a good badass in person, but in the movie, obviously she was like a badass. Yeah, we've stayed friends all these years, and I'm happy about that because she's terrific.
Isn't that a rarity in like a lot of people who work together on films? They don't always end up holding on to those friendships from after production.
Well,
varies.
Generally speaking, I'd say you're right if you've already been an actor for a while. But this was, for everybody except Freddie, this was our first movie. So it's like we went through this rite of passage together. And I guess that kind of, you form a bond with that.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love hearing that because it's, I think one actor friend of mine said, you always, in Hollywood, you always help your friends and know who your friends are.
Well, David, yeah, it's true. David Hess and I stayed very close. I mean, we lived together afterwards for a while. We traveled through Europe together afterwards. We raised our children kind of like at the same time, and we commingled and had, we David and I stayed very, very close. I think about him quite a bit, actually.
That's great. Is David still around, or
passed away a few years?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Was this before Texas Frightmare, or that he passed? I didn't really check that.
I think it was. I think it was.
I feel like they would have had the three of you together.
Pardon me?
Yeah, he would have been there. They would have had the three of you together, probably.
That's correct.
Yeah. So Jeremy had some interesting stories about how at premieres, like some little girl saw her with the and said like, I hate you.
Yeah.
But the mother said, no, you hate the characters. Like, no, I hate you.
Yeah.
And it's like the kids don't understand, but it was very dark. It was very for its time.
It was very ahead of its time as far as style and character and content. What happened was the film came out and started to be shown at drive-ins, which was the original intent of the financiers and even Wes and Sean. And then one day in January, after its release, Roger Ebert wrote a 3.5 out of 4-star review of the film, and like literally overnight, we were in mainstream theaters. And Hess and I were sharing an apartment at the time, and we'd go walking up and down the streets, like 8th Avenue, 7th Avenue, up Central Park West, and the advertisers had papered every place you could look. They had put Last House posters, and people used to run from Hess. They would see Hess in person, look at the poster, and literally, under threat of being run over by rampant New York City taxis, run across the street, getting as far away from him as possible. Muggers would run from David Hess, right? People with the intent of robbing the person and run across the street.
He was naturally intimidating just from the look of him.
People, not for me, but for most people.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I meant. You know, it's funny you said that. I have a friend who, I don't know if you ever watched the show Dexter.
Yeah, I've seen it.
But John Lithgow played a very dark, intimidating character. And my friend Chava was once in Penn Station and turned around and saw John Lithgow standing right there and screamed Trinity and ran in the other direction because he played the Trinity killer in Dexter. So some people, it's always like you feel stupid afterwards, but it's that spur of the moment thing where you don't think about it at first.
No, you don't think about it. And actually, to the credit of the performer, it means that what they did had a visceral impact. So
and they did it well.
Yeah, and they did it well. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, that's what's great about not just horror films, but anything where there's a character with some dark shadow, like some intimidation, but like whether they're like a monster, like because even Stephen King says his monsters are not monsters, they're people. Like like Bram Stoker, Dracula's character was structured of different people in his life.
Exactly.
The different weaknesses and the strength of Dracula. So
that's right. But you know, I have to put everything in context. For us, we had literally no fucking idea what we were doing. We were never, none of us except for like for Freddie had ever been in a film before. We'd all wanted to be in films, but we had, you know, this was our first. So part of our energy and part of the thing that just, you know, made us grind like we did was the fact that, hey, we're making a movie. You know, who cares what it looks like? We're getting paid. We're actors. We're really actors now. We're getting paid to do this. So, and another thing that helped that film was the fact that none of us were known. Nobody knew who we were. So there was a certain kind of like semi-documentary look to it. We were like anonymous evil. It wasn't like Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter. You know, as much as you fear Hannibal Lecter and know he's a scumbag, it's Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah,
who I worked with, by the way, once. So the fact that nobody knew who we were, we could have been those people. You know, Hess was so frightening because no one ever said, "Oh, that's David Hess's Krug." No, that's Krug. That's the psychopath.
Yeah,
and
a lot of people. Yeah.
Hess really like leaned into that. You know, he just he
took advantage in a good way. Like
squeezed every drop of juice out of that lemon.
That's great. Like Robert Englund too. Like it's all those. They're renowned for that appearance. You know, even I saw this one girl was scared of Matthew Lillard, but not for his role in Scream, but his role as Shaggy in Scooby-Doo.
Oh,
she was scared of that. Everybody has their thing.
Yeah.
But when it's so renowned, it really sticks. It like it's like almost like it feels universal to you, and it feels like a thrill. Like it's like like a thrill, but like one that lasts.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
Like what's it called? Wes. How is Wes Craven? I've heard all the greatest things about him, and I know that was his first film. That was his breakout film.
Very first film. That's correct.
Yeah.
He was just a sweet guy to work with. He was just terrific. You know, and he again, to put things in context, he wasn't Wes Craven then. He was just this guy named Wes who was directing this movie. He had not yet, you know, become the icon that he ultimately did. So,
in a sense, you guys you were his spark. You were his spark into the.
You know, I think all of us together combined, you know, I think he got very lucky. You know, that there's an old saying in Hollywood that it's all in the casting, right? And he got very lucky in the kind of anti-family that he put together with David and Jeremy and Freddie and me. So yeah, so I'm happy I was part. Listen, I look at all the pluses in life, right? So in
Amen.
Yeah, in some very, very small way, I became that film made me a part of American film history because it's still around. You're how old are you?
I'm 34, but I was raised on the classics, like everything from 1930s.
Right. So you know, I'm on your show. You know who I am, right? So lately this is like unbelievable. The last few months, I don't know why. I think maybe it's because I'm getting older and people want to get me on. I do like 3 podcasts a week.
Okay.
You know, all over the country. Wow. And okay, you know, gives me time that I can say to my wife, I'm sorry, I can't clean.
It's a routine.
Yeah, I can't clean a bathroom because I have to do I'm in show business. I have to do a show here.
I love that. So, it's
sure. I'm like unbelievably thrilled that this little thing that Freddie and David and I never thought anyone would see.
It grew.
And you know, I think it was like a week or something, or 2 weeks. I can't remember the exact number. It was one of the top 10 films in the United States. You know, how do you not like say, yeah, pretty fucking cool, man? You know,
100 fucking percent. Now, let me just say, I have Tourette's, so I love when people utilize it by proxy, as I say.
Yeah.
Actually, a friend of mine, Brandon Brooks, has a question. He says, "Hey, Marc, how is it working on the indie film Chaos with Kevin Gage and the late Sage Stallone? I met Kevin a couple of times, and he was an interesting dude, as was Sage, who I met at a horror con a couple of years before his passing."
Okay. Working on the indie film Chaos was fun, right? So I answered that question. Kevin Gage is a fucking extraordinary actor and even more extraordinary human being, and we are still friends, you know. And with regard to Sage, he was a very good guy, and when I found out, I actually went to his memorial service. When I found out about him, I was very sad. I mean, he was, I don't know, I can't even say, but he was a good kid. You know, he was a mensch, this kid. He was, you know, he could have been an asshole, you know, he could have been this, he could have been that, but what I saw of him, he was a gentleman and a mensch, and
yeah,
certainly not anyone that you would think was as troubled as he obviously was. So I don't know, you know, good kid though. I have fond memories of him.
As we say in Hebrew, may his neshama have an aliyah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Because I know you you're also Jewish, but but you also you have a character
yes,
that you're famous for, Elliot.
That's correct.
Yeah, can you tell us a little about Elliot?
Hang on 1 second. So
yeah, sure.
Just I wasn't prepared to do this, but
no.
I'm not gonna do the character. But
okay.
This is for your audience. This is who he's talking about. So yeah. How I got to it. What do you want to know? How I got to it? What I'm doing with it?
How you got to it, and how you're when I say carrying on with it, you're
okay. I in 2015, I was in a really bad car accident. I got hit by a car walking back from Trader Joe's in my neighborhood in Toluca Lake, and I was in the hospital. I was in Cedars. I was badly broken up. I mean, neck bones, shoulder, chest, fractures all over, knee, fractures all over. So you can imagine I was in an extraordinary amount of pain. And I was, when you're in pain in the hospital, they give you drugs, these very powerful pain relieving drugs. So every time they'd give it to me, I would kind of drift off and go back to 1977, 78, 79. And I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm an original paid regular at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles, which means that I was there before the strike, and I was there during the strike, and I was there after the strike. And my name's been on the wall there for over 40 years. And my peers were Robin Williams and David Letterman and Jay Leno and Michael Keaton and Tom Dreesen and Jimmy Walker.
Wow.
These were my peeps, right?
Yeah.
So apparently my subconscious, when I would go into this drug world, took me right back to that place, and I was hanging out with them, and I was doing stand-up and like I used to, and I came out of it wanting to go back to doing stand-up. So after I got ambulatory and I could move around, I started hanging out at the Comedy Store again, just to kind of get a sense of the audience, get a sense of the comedians, see what was going on, because I hadn't been there in a while, but I was desperate to get back up on stage. And I came away with the conclusion that I'm an old man, no one's going to give a shit. I had my time, my name's on the wall. I have a great life. I've had a great life. I have, in the present tense of the verb, I have a great life, and let it go. So I let it go. And then one day, like several months later, I was taking a shower, and I just got that thing, because for me, stand-up was always like the girl who got away. No, because I started doing it. Not the girl who got.
I hear what you mean. Yeah.
The girl who I let go. Not like, because I chose a path.
You let it happen. You let it happen. Yeah, you chose
my writing path, right? And I decided, I don't want to travel. I don't want to go on the road. I want to have a family. So I chose to put my creative energies into writing. And I had a very nice career writing TV shows. So I'm beating the shit out of myself, and I get out of the shower, and I looked at myself in the mirror, and my beard was this long and drippy, wet and skinny. And I looked at myself in the mirror, and I said, you're nothing but a skinny, bearded old Jew bastard. That's all you are. You're just a fucking Jew bastard. Nothing. No one gives a shit what you have to say. You had your time. Let him go. Let it go. And I'm talking to myself in the mirror. And then all of a sudden, I got a twinkle in my eye. And I looked at myself, and I said, don't go away. So I ran into my closet. And I put on I have a black suit. I put on a black suit, white shirt, black tie. And I had
the whole Hasidic, Yiddish.
Yeah, I have a hat collection. So I had a black fedora. And I walked into the bathroom, and I looked at myself dressed like in the picture. And I said, well, now they'll listen to you. And sure enough, so then what I did was I created the character Elliot. My wife is a Colombian woman, right? So we speak Spanish every now and then. And Elliot in Spanish just means the Jew. That's all it means. It means nothing more than that. So I said, so what's your name? And I just said, Elliot. So I wrote for 6 months, because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't plucking my own twanger, right? That it wasn't just me, whistling in the wind. So I wrote for 6 months to see if I could write this person, if I could. So I combined pardon me?
To bring him to life.
Yeah. So I combined my maternal grandfather, who was an Orthodox Jewish guy, and the rabbi of the synagogue that we belonged to. And I put those two people together and started thinking in his voice and writing. And I wrote, like I said, for 6 months. Then I called up a comedian friend of mine, a young kid who was running an open mic in Reseda, of all places. And I said, hey, I need 15 minutes. He said, sure, come on, man, come on. So I went in and I did it. And as rough as it was, I mean, in my head, it all worked. And they did do exactly what I thought. The audience, the moment they saw me, they shut up and they started listening. And now I said, okay, I got something. So that was in 2017. And I did it. I did a bunch of clubs around LA when I was in town. As I mentioned, my wife is a Colombian woman, although she's an American citizen. She was born there. And we'd spend 4 or 5 months a year in Colombia, then back in Los Angeles. So I wasn't able to have any real consistency with it. But whenever I was doing it, it was fun and it was working. So after we got back right before the pandemic exploded in February of 2020.
Yeah.
My last show was before we went to Colombia. So I think my last show was probably November of 2019. We get to LA, pandemic, so there are no shows, but I didn't stop writing jokes, right? I kept writing and writing and writing. So last October, a month ago, October 9th, I did my first set back since the pandemic in a theater on a night of Jewish humor at a theater. And I did 26 minutes and got 25 applause breaks. And I was, yeah, I know it sounds weird, right? My beard's getting in my nose. It's better than what used to go in my nose. So anyway, I got 25 applause breaks. So today, I just came from a meeting. I hired a social media guy, and we're going to take that set that was videotaped, and we're going to start putting it out in little jokes and memes and whatever. And in January, February, I'm just at the beginning of it. I'm gonna produce my own comedy show in a theater in LA, and I'm gonna hire 4 other comedians. A guy named Steve Middleman. I don't know if you know who Steve is.
Sounds
Steve is
very familiar.
Yeah, Steve is a very close friend of mine, and he's in his 60s. I'm in my 70s. I'm 72, and so we're gonna hire comedians from their 20s up into us, and we're gonna do a show that I call A Tradition of Laughter: 6 More Funny Jews. So stay tuned for that one. So
yeah, I would love to. I've been meaning to go visit LA. Hold on, I'm sorry, just a little bit of a back thing. I've been wanting to go visit LA. It's been 25 years since I've been there. I'm sorry, I'm hearing my echo here.
Oh, I thought you meant real back, and I was about to say, hey, you're starting early. Good for you.
No, I have the echo cancellation on, and it's still giving me an echo. Just give me one moment.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, that's better.
All right.
No, it's not.
Okay.
Okay, let me just turn on again.
I can move further away from you.
No, it's not you, it's me.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me okay. So I'll just deal with the echo. As long as you don't mind. What's it called? I've been meaning to go to LA, so I would 100% go to your show. I would take friends and family if I could. I have a lot of family in LA. Would you and if you ever come to New York, I would definitely let me know. I would love to catch a show. And definitely I share a lot of memes and funny stuff on social media. Yeah, sure. I would love to try to spread your spread the love, spread the comedic love. In
2018 I did. There's a club in Manhattan called the Cutting Room.
Okay. Oh yeah. I've been there. I think I've been there.
I did a show there, and the owner, Steve Wax, told me I can come back. And he said, anytime you're in New York, just call me up and I'll find a place for you. That's
great. I love the mensches you come into contact with, and it's a real. It really is a blessing, and how many of them in the entertainment business there are. There truly are.
Yeah, and, I've met the ratio, I think, of decent regular people to assholes is about like 20 to 1.
20 to really? I found from my experience it's even more, because obviously I haven't worked in the industry as much as you, but I have met a lot of people in the industry, and I've met so many mensches, and even the people I met who weren't so warm had their moments. I mean,
some people who I'm friends with who I kind of knew before they were like, Corbin Burnson, right?
Corbin, probably better by face.
He was on Psych, LA. He played the father on Psych.
Yes, I know who that is. So, yeah.
I've been friends with Corbin since before he became an actor, when he was at UCLA, like, I don't know, 40 years ago, 45 years ago, because his girlfriend at the time was one of the lead actresses on a show that was my first show as a writer, and we all became friends. And Corbin is a guy who became a big television star in the 80s in LA, and remained just the mensch he always was. I mean, Marc Summers. You know who Marc Summers is? Double Dare.
Yes.
That we're best friends. We started out at the Comedy Store together. We've been best friends for fucking decades, man. We talk almost every day.
That's great.
So, you know, you make friendships, and these friendships are not reliant on anything other than who the people are. You know, that they're not reliant on career success or not a lack of. It's just you're friends with somebody. You're friends. It's just, you know.
Yeah, and also first impressions make a big difference, and I always stand by this saying that I feel that people really underestimate the power of civility, and just being authentic, being real, being respectful. It just goes such a long fucking way. It truly does. Part of my
anybody can be an asshole. It takes a mensch to be a mensch.
Yeah, you know, it takes a real man to be a mensch.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know who I know who's a real mensch, and he also was on Psych. Carrie Elwes.
Yeah, him I don't know, but I'll tell you who else is a mensch. He was in Last House, and that's Marty Cove.
Marty Cove. Oh yeah. I never met him, but I know who that is. Martin Cove.
Well, yeah, you know him as Martin Cove. I know him as Marty.
Yes. Yeah, I just met him a few months ago at his son. His son and I were talking.
Marty, sweetest guy. That doesn't surprise me. Sweetest guy. Literally the nicest guy. Now, Marty is the one who got David Hess into Last House on the Left. Marty,
really?
Yeah, Marty was living with David's sister Judith, and got the part as the deputy sheriff in Last House, and then said to David, "Hey, there's a movie you'd be perfect for. Let me get you an audition." And it was Marty who set that up.
It's like my friend said, in the deal in Hollywood is always help your friends to know who your friends are, and sometimes you don't know who will be your friends, so you want to. Sometimes it's nice to help out, you know, aspiring.
I help people out whenever I can.
Yes.
I don't care. It doesn't take anything away from me. I am who I am.
I have friends who I barely know or don't know well who ask me for assistance or advice. Like, I was always that single friend that everybody came to for relationship advice, and I was able to help people when I couldn't help myself. Right. You know, and I, like, because I meet a lot of people and a lot of people, I have friends asking me to help them send out their resume, and I'm not going to say no. And of course, I'm happy that somebody is looking, not that they're asking me, but like, I'm happy to help somebody who needs help. You know, it's such a simple, small thing to do for somebody else, you know, so I'm always happy to help people. Yeah, you also mentioned you wrote a few TV shows. Was Sister, I remember I grew up on. I think I read that.
Let me see. I worked on Charles in Charge for a long time. I wrote Who's the Boss? I wrote Sanford and Son. I wrote Love Boat. I wrote, worked on People's Choice Awards. I have like a decades-long resume. Most of it I don't even remember. I wrote How Bugs Bunny Won the West.
Yes. Oh my God! Wow, I'm dating myself on that one, let alone you. Do you got any funnies? When you said you wrote for. Do you ever work on the set, or was more just behind the screen?
No. On the shows like Charles in Charge, you know, that I was on staff. I was, you know, on stage almost every day.
I always grew up on that. My grandmother and I'll to be honest, my grandmother and I would always binge watch certain shows. Like Golden Girls is still a favorite of mine after all these years. But her and I would watch Who's the Boss?
Yeah,
The Cosby Show, and
I wrote Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah, Alf. Did you do Alf? Because I
didn't do Alf.
I remember the two of them were very similar. They both had that monster, but they were a friendly family sitcom. The two of them.
Yes, you're correct.
Yeah. Harry and the Hendersons was a classic. Do you have any interesting stories from that you could tell from any of these? I know it's a long shot to ask.
Let me see.
Or even one of the Who's the Boss, Charles in Charge, Sister. I remember they made a spinoff of Sister with the little brother. They did too.
I think so. I don't really. It was like a job for me. It was.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think on the fly here.
Or Happy Days. I know you did the Happy Days.
The Happy Days reunion show.
Yes.
Yeah. I co-produced and co-wrote that one. You know, just but that's a group of nice people. You know.
I met Henry Winkler. Such also a real man.
Nice guy. You know, I sound weird when I say nice guy, but like I told you,
I do the same thing.
Yeah, we haven't gotten any assholes yet. You know, we're working our way through the nice guy, through those 20 nice people, and we'll eventually land on somebody. No, asshole. You know,
it's bound to happen, but we don't do it on. We don't search for the asshole. We just end up on the asshole. That's not right at all.
You don't have to search for them. They usually find you.
Yes. Listen, I've been bullied. and actually, you know, not even for my Tourette's, but because of I've had some what's the term? Like, you know, like as a kid growing up who had to go to special needs schools because of his Tourette's, he missed out on a lot of his childhood.
Right.
So, but I always knew what I wanted to do. And since I was 5 years old, my parents raised me to write classical music, classical movies, and classical rock. So I grew up on like Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, House on Haunted Hill. Vincent Price is a personal favorite actor of mine since I was a little kid.
Yeah, terrific.
Yeah, and I met his daughter, who was such a sweetheart. She made me cry because I told her Edward Scissorhands, when her father's character died, I cried. She says I cry every time, and she gave me the biggest hug. Oh, but sweet. Like it's amazing when you've worked with these people for so long. I grew up watching these people and then meet them and become friends with them, and it's like you get to know people you grew up watching, and they tell you that you inspire them.
I have a similar experience. When I was a kid, I was a teenager actually. I was a huge fan of the Dick Van Dyke Show. And so and I used to watch all the credits, and I knew who wrote it. And there was a team that wrote most of the episodes, many of the episodes. Bill Persky and Sam Dennoff, right? And they created That Girl from Marlo Thomas. And I used to see this guy, Sam Dennoff's name everywhere, all over TV. Well, cut to, 20 years later, 25 years later, well, not 25 years, my math is like 15 years later, sometime later.
I got it. All good.
I was establishing myself as a comedy writer and had begun to build a little reputation. And I got a call one day from a guy who was a vice president I knew over at NBC, comedy vice president, who said to me, "Do you know who Sam Dennoff is?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Well, Brandon," that was Brandon Tartikoff, the late Brandon Tartikoff, who was then the president of the network. Right. My friend Stuart said, "Well, Brandon would like to put you together with Sam Dennoff." And my hand shook, right? On the phone, I said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, Brandon thinks that you and Sam Dennoff should meet." So Brandon Tartikoff sets up a meeting with me and Sam Dennoff. And, I was like, I've never been around celebrities and been a fanboy, because I was inured to that a bit, because my dad was friends with a lot of famous baseball players when I was a kid, and I hung out with them. So I kind of got used to that. But when I met this guy who was an idol of mine, from when I was a kid, I got like, wow. And then he and I, years after that, we became friends. And then several years after that, we became writing partners and producing partners. And
get to work with your idol.
With my idol, right? Yeah. So that's that moment you're talking about, right?
Yes.
So
yes.
I couldn't fucking believe it. That, wait a second, and you can look online and you can see, written by Sam Dennoff and Marc Sheffler. There's plenty of stuff. So that was a moment when it was a humbling but kind of reality check, because it taught me that it happens, man. You just point yourself in the right direction and keep moving forward, and eventually shit's gonna happen.
And hearing these stories from you is inspiring to me, and I'm sure the people watching. I've never worked with my idol, but I would like to. But a lot of the people who are my idols, I know well. Some of them more than others. One of them, I don't know if you ever heard of. You know who Lynn Shay is?
No.
She's like the godmother of horror now. She's been in Insidious, The Conjuring, a lot of modern horror, but she's been in movies for a very long time. there was this movie called The Hidden, which I grew up on, sci-fi movie, but she's been in There's Something About Mary. She's been in so comedies, dramas. Yeah, she played Magda in Something About Mary.
Okay.
So we had just met once at the time, but this was like 2015. We met in March, but we spoke a little bit on social media. But you know, she sees on Facebook I'm very big in the Tourette's community because I go to Tourette's Association events and I have Tourette syndrome, so I like helping people with not just Tourette's but any disability. I like helping people. It's part of my turning my curse or the pain I grew up with into something nice for somebody else, and I feel good doing that for me too. What was that?
The mitzvah.
The mitzvah, yeah. But Lynn wrote me one day out of the blue in 2015 because a friend of hers son was diagnosed with Tourette syndrome, and I gave advice to her friend on how you know, medication and doctors and different treatment, just ideas via text. She connected me with her friend, and she asked me, I hope you don't mind me reaching out to you, you know, but I so and so a friend, I would love to connect with you. And her friend texted me the most amazing thing that's anybody's ever said to me, because this is the whole, and I've been writing a book on Tourette's for 9 years.
Okay.
That the first draft is done, but editing has been very difficult for me. But she said to me, I'm so glad I met you because I know, she texted me this. We just spoke via text at the time. She said, I'm so glad I met you because I know my son can live a full and happy life. And I broke down crying because this was like, it was the most greatest thing anybody's ever said to me. And this is like a woman who I idolize as an actress and loved and always, and tells me she speaks highly of, she loves me and she thinks highly of me. And she's always so positive and always so, even when she's negative, it's about positivity she wants in this world.
Okay, please go ahead.
I'm just, yeah, that's, I love people like that.
Every now and then, we all, I think, if we're walking our walk, you know, if we're walking through our lives, I think every now and then we get these moments where we got to stop just for a split second and think about what just happened. One night, I had been doing the Elliot character for a couple of years, and I was over in Hollywood at a club doing a show. So after the show, I was hanging out in the lobby of the place with another comedian pal of mine from back in the day, Joey Gaynor, and we were talking. And I'm Elliot, right? So yeah, when I leave the house as Elliot, and I don't turn back into myself until I get back home. I stay in character the whole time. So I'm standing in the lobby of this place, and I see a guy walk out of the club room, let's say like mid-60s, with his woman, I guess his wife. So he comes towards me with his hand to shake hands, right? So I shake his hand, and he said to me, I have to tell you something. I said, all right, tell me whatever you wish. And he said, I've been anti-Semitic pretty much my whole life. And I said, you want to let go of my hand now? And he laughed, right? And he held on to me. And he said, but after watching you and enjoying what you had to say, I think I'm going to have to rethink some things. So he said goodnight, introduced his wife, and I said goodnight, and they left. Joey Gaynor turns to me and says, hey, what the fuck was that, man? Holy shit. You know, and I said, it was one of those moments, Joey. It was one of those moments. And I just thought to myself, wow. Oof.
It reminds me of that quote, like, to the world you're just one person, but to one person you could be the world. But even if it's just for a single moment or just a day or just a life-changing moment, that like a single moment could again change your whole world. I feel like you really changed him.
That was one of the moments when I said, I think I'm going to keep doing this.
Yes.
You know, I think that was like payment for me. That was like meant more than money.
It's an intangible gift that that's probably that's like the greatest gift because nobody could take that from you.
No, it's just that, I had no idea I was getting it, and I had no idea I was giving it. I was just, hoping these jokes would work. I was a narrow focus thing. So
yeah, my friend CJ said, "Don't break character until the DVD documentary, DVD commentary." Sorry. I just want to mention my friend Brandon also asked, Marc, was there a writer's room back in the 80s or where?
Writer's room.
No writer's room?
Yes, writer's room.
There were writer's room. Or always. Were you so it was always a writer's room?
Yes.
Okay.
The way it works is if you're on staff, okay, and there's a certain story that's being written, and what happens is a writer or a team of writers, one or two people, will write the first draft and put it into the structure and the story and lay everything out, and then the writers on the show get together and everybody has notes, and then you work on it, and it's always a group effort.
Yeah, that's the production team, but I know there's always more than one production teams, sets of production team. What's it called? So for your writing with Elliot,
yes,
I love how you spoke about you derived, like you improv with yourself, and that stood out to me, and I loved how you came up with that character just by improv all on your solo with yourself in the mirror when you're just thinking about your life.
That's just me. That's how I've been my whole life, and
But it works for you.
Yeah, it doesn't work for my wife though. And all the people that are living inside of my head, but it doesn't work for my wife. We've been together now 17 years, and she still sometimes will come out. I could be sitting in my office thinking, and she'll come in and say to me, "Are you alone?"
At least she could say something to laugh about it now. Listen, yeah. I say it's the voices outside my head I don't listen to. I told my therapist I heard voices. He says I don't have a therapist. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying I hear voices, and the way I write for Elliot is I kind of I'm a huge cannabis user. And so I take my medicine, and I just look at the world as through his eyes, and I just start rambling, and I write down what I ramble, and then I look at it and I say, okay, this is a joke, and it works. It just works. I told you I did that show in Tustin at this theater, and 26 minutes, 25 applause breaks. And for me as a writer, the most rewarding aspect of that is that about 70% of the material that I did that night, I'd never done in front of an audience before. It was all brand new, but I've had so much experience. I go way back to I've written live TV where you had to stand off camera, hand somebody some jokes and say, here, go do these. And they say, are they going to work? And say, yeah, I hope so. It's just like that. So I just worked on the material and rehearsed, and it worked. And I'll send you the video. I'm having the video edited and trimmed down a bit, and I'm getting rid of that 1 minute and some seconds that I didn't get in applause.
I'm a video editor, so I know how tedious video editing can be.
Yeah, this I have, and it was on a slaved camera, and it jiggled a bit, and it's
no image stabilization on that one.
And the sound is kind of different, but it's still Elliot 26 minutes, and it's just I got a thrill. That I don't know if you know this, but the first time I was ever on stage getting laughs was when I was 10 years old. And it was what happened was when I was a kid, I was a huge Three Stooges fan, right? So
okay, my father as well. Yes.
Okay, thanks for making me feel even older.
No.
Not kidding.
It's a Jewish thing. I know.
I'm just fucking with you. So when I was 10 years old, in the run up to my 10th birthday, my dad, who was this out of the box aluminum siding salesman guy, said to me, "So you're 10 years old, huh?" I said, "Well, I'm getting there." And he said, "What do you want for your birthday?" So I said, "The Three Stooges." And he said, "Okay." So he got them. And they were playing, they were doing a 2-week gig in Pittsburgh. And my father went to them and said, "Hey, look, I'm throwing a birthday party here for my son on this Saturday afternoon. How much you guys want to do a show?" They gave him a number. He said, "Okay." And the next thing I knew, I was at the Holiday House, this nightclub that used to be around Pittsburgh, on a Saturday afternoon with about 60 people, my friends and their families and parents, because nobody could believe this, right? So the Stooges come on stage and they start doing their show. And in the middle of the show, Mo says, "So we're all here to celebrate Marc's birthday. And where's Marc?" So he looks out and I stand up and they shine the spotlight on me. And Mo says, "Come on up on stage with us, Marc." And I ran up on the stage, and I was such a huge fan of theirs that I knew all of their shtick, right? Like I knew, I knew the physical stuff. I knew the jokes, the lines they were doing, and it caught Mo by surprise. He was, wow. So he puts his hand now, but so as I'm doing this, I can't see shit because I have stage lights in my eyes, and they gave me a little mic stand with a mic. And I'm talking, and I'm hearing this laughter, and I'm closing my eyes because I'm sensing it, right? And this embrace and this warm feeling, it was like, from what people tell me, it was like what morphine is like, right? So like it's coming this way, and I'm
euphoria.
Yeah. And Mo puts his hand on my head and says, "I dub you the fourth Stooge." And the audience went crazy. I still have friends today. I'm still friends with guys who were there. They remember it, right? So obviously I didn't process it intellectually the way I'm about to. Yeah, like that's real. But I will tell you that that's probably the moment that put me on the path, right? That's when I something clicked inside of me and said, I want more of this. I want more of this. And then I had that same kind of moment after Last House got really exploded, and I was back in Pittsburgh, and there were several girls in my high school graduating class who a scant 3 years earlier wouldn't give me the time of day, were now willing to give me a lot more than that. And I remember being with one of them in a kind of a naked situation. And
not kosher, not so kosher. It's trafe, very trafe.
Yeah, but still, a decent meal.
Sorry.
I remember, laughter is what I want. See, that's good. Good that you're doing that. So I remember thinking to myself, in the middle of it, right? Like I could, that's how I could compartmentalize, right? So I'm doing this thing, and yet part of me is thinking, I think this is a good career choice. I mean, I think I made the right career choice. Yeah, I'm gonna do more of this. So that's, and then what happened was, everything that goes up goes down, right? So Last House rises and falls.
Yeah.
And I'm back to being an out of work actor again, had my 15 seconds, and that's that. So since most of my life, being the immature person that I am, has been in search of, well, let's put it this way.
Calling?
Calling?
No, but you found that already.
Well, you see, the thing, that's the thing. I don't want to pretend to be more than who I really am. So I will tell you that when I left college in 1969, I dropped out of LSU. I went to school with David Duke, right?
Yeah.
American civil rights activist, just on the wrong side of civil rights. I had 3 life goals in place, right? I wanted to smoke as much weed as possible. I wanted to sleep with as many different women as possible. And I wanted to make just enough money to afford the weed and the women. So show business, and this was like the perfect thing for me. So I got this thing with Last House on the Left, and that all went great, and it was what I'd wanted. But then it disappeared, so I had to come up with something new. So one night I was at a party in New York, in the city, and I see a guy, kind of looks like me, looks like you, and he's talking to this very attractive model-looking woman. And I get close because I want to hear what he's saying, because she's clearly hypnotized by what he's saying. So I listen, and he's saying, yes, well, I have this concept, and I'm fleshing it out, and I'm not really where I have writer's block, but I have to do some more research, but I have it out, and I'm constructing the characters, and I'm looking for that narrative flow. And he had telling her, but this guy was a writer, and she was captivated by it. And then they leave together. And I thought to myself, yeah, I could do that. I could tell girls I'm a writer. So I went out and I bought a bunch of books about writing, and I learned like all the words like this guy was using. And I'd go around and meet girls in bars, parties, whatever, and I'd rap this shit out, man, that, I'm writing this, and I have an agent on the coast, and I'm there. I mean, it's just, I just fucking lied. It's just like completely and utterly
your way through it.
BS my way through. But it was extraordinarily successful. And one day I was at an audition for a commercial in the East 60s by the company. Remember that Mean Joe Green?
Yes, like when he throws the jersey.
Yeah. So the guy who directed that is a guy named N. Lee Lacy, right? And he won a Clio for that. So I'm in the lobby of his office, which was a brownstone on the east side, right? And I'm talking to some girl, and I'm doing my thing, and I get a tap on my shoulder, and I turn around, it's him. And he says, hey, come here, I want to talk to you. So I excuse myself from the girl, and I say, what's up? And I said, well, thanks for coming in for this audition. I think, you'll be great. And he said, but I want to see that script when you're finished. He said, I have an agent at William Morris in Los Angeles, and I'd love to send it to him. So I said to him, hey, Lee, look, I'm not really writing a script. He said, what? I said, yeah, I'm not. I do this for girls. That's it. I'm immature. I'm a kid. I just do this because it's the best hustle I have. And he said, is it working? And I said, oh, yeah. Yeah, all the time. He said, you're an idiot. You need to put this to much better use. Write that script and then give it to me. So I took his advice and I wrote it. He gave it to his agent in Los Angeles, who then sold it to NBC. So I sold the first script I ever wrote. When I landed in Los Angeles to move here, I had a car, an apartment, cash in the bank, a credit, and an agent. So,
wow.
That's how I became that's how I became a writer. I just had to now I had to learn on the job. I had the job. I just now had to learn how to do it.
That's amazing. I got to tell you, oh, hold on. CJ says Marc Sheffler is the originator of fake it till you make it.
Right. But now I actually know shit, right? I have a new series that I wrote the pilot for, that I have a partner by the name of Gary Hart, who my producing partner, who was the president of Paramount Studios for quite a long time. And it's called Those 7 Years. And it's starts on the day when I was 14, that I kind of make a joke promise to my dad that one day I'm going to star in a movie that's going to be up on a screen of where we were watching Jerry Lewis and the Nutty Professor at a theater in Pittsburgh. And I said, yeah, one day I'll be starring in a movie that's on that screen. And then 7 years later, Last House on the Left opens up in Pittsburgh at the Stanley Theater, and my dad go there in a limousine. So the series is about the journey from that one point to that other point.
Wow. Hold on, I'm trying to figure out what happened to my mic. I'm so sorry.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. My mic is a little iffy. Can you hear me clearly, or am I coming out as
Gabe, I can hear you.
loud and clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just want to make sure. Just want to make sure because I guess what I'm hearing is different.
Okay.
Okay, just that's all good. No, I just wanted to mention, when you were talking about being up on stage as a kid and being a little nervous. Okay, thank you, CJ. So I got a second opinion and a first opinion. So I have a great memory. I don't say that as a bragging thing because it could be just as much as a curse as a gift. Because I remember a lot of stuff I wish I don't remember. But when I was 10 or 11 years old, like you, I was raised, like I told you, classical music, classical movies, classical rock. So I grew up on Alan Sherman. You know who Alan Sherman is, the Hallow Mudda, Hallow Fada. So I remembered, memorized all these songs that when I went away to, I think, Pocono Manor for Passover one year, and I sang all the songs on stage, like a bunch of them, and people were laughing their asses off.
Yeah.
And no, some of these people never heard it before. I love making people laugh, and it was one of the ways I learned to like. I also play piano a lot for 26 years now. And when I was a kid, my tics were different. Like my tics evolved over time. So I would sit down to practice and my tics would go away, but I got nervous in front of an audience. Now, since my late teens, early 20s, I sit down in front of people and my tics go away, but I go through hell when I practice. So when it comes to I think comedy, anything that could be entertainment, anything that is, I think art, anything can be art. It's all, nothing isn't art because we say it isn't. Anything can be art. For me, like humor, comedy is art, music is art, and I love making people laugh, but I also like making people happy. And sometimes music can be that, so that art, that entertainment. So like I have a very expansive mind, so I love what you do. I love making people laugh, and what you were telling me inspired me because like it motivated me, and it made me think about myself in that sense that you got to take that opportunity, but also like use your gifts, use your talents. Because like when I'm listening to you, you're talking about this improv with Elliot. I'm like, that is pure talent. I mean, yes, it is like you turned your, not that necessarily, but how you came up with all these jokes and they were successful. Those 26, those 25 applause in that 20.
It's all in furtherance it's all in furtherance of this thing about me that is both a curse and a gift, and it's a serious character flaw that I've made palatable. I love being the center of attention, right? And I'm my own favorite subject. So, that kind of makes it easy to do what I do because
motivation. It's a form of motivation.
It's self-motivating.
Self-motivated, yeah. Yeah.
It's self-motivating.
But you enjoy it. Not only that, but you enjoy doing it.
Oh yeah.
You?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a win-win all around for you. It's a win-win.
I feel more comfortable on a stage in front of lots of people than I do, trying to explain to my wife why I didn't empty the dishwasher. I don't have an answer for that. I can be on stage and talk to like thousands of people. I'm cool with that. But my wife, wants to know why I didn't empty the dishwasher. It's because, well, I'm thinking about jokes to tell those thousands of people.
You're distracted.
Yeah.
But can I tell you something? Sometimes those distractions are healthy for you. But it's not for a self, like from what you've become from it. It's not a selfish. It's not an unhealthy ego. It's a healthy ego because it motivates you. It drives you, and that's important to have something that drives you that you enjoy and also brings others entertainment and enjoyment.
I do love writing jokes and performing jokes. I write a joke and I work on it and I listen because I don't do music, right? Like I have musician friends, right? But I'm not musically inclined. I'm not, but I hear jokes as music to me. I hear the rhythm of humor. I guess it's as close as I get to music. Like I can look at a joke, I can write a joke and know that it's clunky, but if I like the setup and the punchline, I know how to fix it so that it works, and it has a certain musicality to me. It has a it has a flow. So I hear humor the way I guess musicians must hear music.
It's no, I hear exactly what you mean. It's all relative, but like I'm with both. But like music is like it's like a heal. It's not just like something I love and I'm a passionate about. I when I play, I get so into it. Like you get into your characters.
Yeah.
I feel the passion. I move. I close my eyes and I could still play. And I'm much more passionate about that than I am about because I don't write my own jokes, but I like making people laugh.
Right.
But I can't necessarily come up with my own jokes, but I like spreading joy and humor and laughter.
The,
So
the deeper I get into that character, the farther away I get from having to explain to my wife why I didn't empty the dishwasher.
so it's like it's with my passion music. You love getting lost in it because you get to escape from other stuff.
Yeah, I totally get lost in it.
Yeah, that's the healthy getting lost.
I have a pal, Richie Gold, another comedian who I've known for decades. He lives in Connecticut now, but he used to work with Rodney a lot. I mean, with Jackie Mason a lot. And
I met Jackie Mason before when I was a little kid. Yeah, great guy.
Richie used to work with Jackie a lot. Used to open for Jackie, and Richie talks like this. He's got this Bronx accent like this, you know. And he's an Orthodox. He's an Orthodox Jew. He's like he's not like a chubda Jew, but he's an Orthodox. Right. So he came to see me one night at the Cutting Room, and met me at the hotel, and then we walked to the club, and he saw me dressed up and just laughed because he knows what a lunatic I am, right? And how this image of that I'm on stage is completely not me at all, right? So he watches the show, and he looked at me afterwards. He says, "Man, I gotta tell you, if I didn't fucking know you, I think you were one of them guys," you know.
And you knew exactly what he meant.
Yeah, I knew exactly what he meant. You know, he said, if I didn't know you, if I didn't know that was you, and I saw this, you sold it 100% to me. And I said, wow, that's great, Rich, because you know, that's what I wanted to hear from you. You know,
yeah,
so
it's like
hello?
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yeah, your internet went
you are. Yeah, I think we cut out for a moment.
So, you know, it's fun, man. It's just you know, it's something for me to do.
But your friends who know you say that's such a marker. So like I have friends, I go by Gabi, not just by Gabe. I go by Gabi, Gabriel, Gabe. And like my friends are like, when I do something stupid or something silly or something that's so me, like, that's such a Gabi. He's just pulling a Gabi. Like I literally have a friend who has his own measurement of time. He lives by me, and it literally like if he says 5 minutes, he usually means 50 minutes or an hour or more or half an hour. So we call it. His name is Moshe, obviously Jewish. Call it Moshe time. So we have our own measurement of time. So when I text somebody, I'll be there in 30 minutes. He says like, is that 30 minutes Moshe time or is that 30 minutes actual time? Yeah. So like we could laugh about it, but he does it too. Like I text Moshe, is that 5 minutes? He's like, yes, and that's not Moshe time. He tells me. But I know we're running short. We're really at the end. But I wanted to thank you so much, and
my pleasure.
I'd love to see your video. You have my email. And
as soon as
and some of your when you do those memes, those Elliot memes, I love to spread the love and spread the humor because I would love to see you go to one of your shows when I get a chance.
Okay, I'll give my social media guy your email and he'll send them to you when he puts them out.
I would love that. Thank you very much, Marc. It was a pleasure seeing you again. Absolutely, and maybe I'll see you at another con as well. You still do cons?
Sure. Now that I'm triple vax because I believe in science.
Yeah, I just got my booster last week too. Yeah.
You know, I'm a big believer in science.
Amen.
I head down and you know didn't do shit, and now I'm back doing shit, and so everything's gonna be fine.
I wanted to get back to Abby normal.
Yes.
Yeah, I love Mel Brooks. Anyway, Marc, have a great night. Pleasure having you.
Great seeing you again, and you
I'm sure we'll see you. Thank you again, man. All the best. Thanks, CJ.
Okay, man. Bye-bye.
Have a great night. Bye.